Today from Nerdarchy, for Nerds, by Nerds, and today I got Ashley with me from Star Called Studios. Sorry, I can't talk. I haven't gotten enough coffee in me yet today. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you? Other than the no coffee.
Good, good. But we're gonna fix that, as we talk here. So we have Creatures of Vathis, Volume One. You guys have relaunched the Kickstarter,
Yes.
and you had a little trouble the first time around, but the second time around, you guys kind of crushed it pretty fast. So that's good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, how excited are you guys?
Very excited. We've been working on this book for a little while, and we're just excited to get it in everyone's hands and move on to our other projects, which we're kind of doing anyway. But we're just ready to get it out there.
Yeah, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards.
Right.
So, you guys also do some streaming. You're making products.
Mhm.
The world of Vathis is kind of where everything is kind of happening for you guys. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the projects going forward, is that going to continue with that? Or are you guys going to move in any different directions?
Everything we're currently working on is Vathis. We've talked about expanding. A couple people want to work on similar things that aren't necessarily in Vathis, but right now that's our focus.
Nice. So, for anyone that's not aware of this project, you want to kind of give them the elevator pitch?
The world of Vathis is post apocalyptic. We just came out of something called the Darkest War, killed a lot of people, about two-thirds of the population died. Um, right now, it focuses on 14 kingdoms. We have a whole pantheon. What else? We have something called Star Call, that's like deity influence. So you can be outside the bounds of fate. So it's kind of cool. It's set maybe like an early 20s feel. Um, but instead of like electricity, there's like magic. So it's like magic punkish.
Arcana Punk.
Yeah.
Nice. Ever since Ebron, I've kind of been into that, and that was whetted my appetite for something different. So how long have you guys been working on Vathis?
Vathis started as a homebrew. That was Brad's baby. They've been playing in it over 10 years. So it's been around for a while. We've had the company for about 4 years. So we've been working on putting it, giving it to the world for 4 years.
Awesome. And the current project, what is the Kickstarter you guys have going on?
It's Creatures of Vathis. It has over 100 creatures, monsters that would be found in Vathis. This book primarily focuses on what would be found in the kingdoms. We have other monsters that aren't in this book that would be like the outlying areas. So that might be a future something that pops up.
Oh, sweet. So we were talking a little bit before we got started about streaming. You guys have a Twitch channel. You do a bit of streaming on there. So I imagine people, if they wanted to get caught up, they could kind of see what the gameplay looks like in Vathis.
They could. Everything we're currently streaming is set in Vathis. We have a fifth edition game that Joe runs on Thursdays. And then we just started a fourth edition game on Saturdays. And that will probably change to Pathfinder 2 whenever it's released.
Fourth edition, really?
Yeah, we started fourth edition.
Oh man, I can't believe it. Well, that's definitely. I feel like you're scratching an itch that other people probably are not.
That's
So
okay.
I laugh because 4E got so much hate, and as you can see, I'm not. I have a bunch of
Right.
4E books over my shoulder there, so I actually don't care what people play. I know some people. It was just one of those systems that was very divisive, and like people either loved it or hated it.
I think it's a lot of fun. I haven't had any issues with it so far. So I think it'll be a good time.
So, well, sometimes I feel like having fun is a choice, and
True, it is.
some people just choose not to.
I agree. Yeah.
There is a ton of systems that I've played that I think are garbage personally,
Hmm.
but my friends were playing them, so I played and it was fun. But would I run that system? No. Would I choose? Would it be my first one if everyone's like, "Hey, pick a system we're gonna play next"? Would I pick that one? No. But if people that I enjoy hanging out with or playing it, there, you can definitely find the fun in it.
I agree. It's definitely who you're playing with and if everyone's involved and happy with what they're doing.
So what are you playing in the 4E game?
I'm a hunter. It's actually, we're playing our first evil campaign, so it's going to be fun. I kind of just sneak around and shoot things.
So Hunter, is that just from Ranger? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's Ranger. So
Okay.
I think it's one of the like later versions of Ranger. So it's fine.
I guess your GM had to adapt a bunch of stuff over to 4E then.
We converted. They originally started playing in fourth. I think they might have played in 3.5, but we converted our races to fourth, and that's probably something we're going to throw up like on Drive Through RPG soon. And we haven't converted our sigils, but I think we're going to do it this week.
Oh, cool. So what is the premise for the evil game?
Currently, we are all just a little evil, like on our own, and then we somehow got lumped together because these other evil guilds were after this object, and we ended up in possession of the object. It's a chest, so we can't open it. So our entire thing is taking down these other evil organizations and trying to find a way to open this chest because we don't know what's in it.
It's gonna be like Kung Fu Panda. When you open it, it's just gonna be a mirror,
Probably.
or something equally devious from your GM.
It's Brad, so yeah, it's going to be something.
Now, are you playing in the 5e game as well?
I'm not. It's Joe as the DM, and then we actually have all community players. So people who are in our Discord that interact with us generally daily, they're playing with Joe.
Oh, cool, nice.
Yeah.
You guys have an active community over there on Discord?
We do. We have about 200 people in our Discord, but we have a good core of about 30 people that talk daily and play games together, and it's really interesting and fun.
Yeah. Hey, folks, as always, in the description, you can find all the links to find Star Called Studios on social media, the website, and also the ongoing Kickstarter. So, for the ongoing Kickstarter, it's a book of monsters. Do you have any particular favorites?
I actually wrote all of the drakes. We have 14 drakes, one for each kingdom, so I'm a little partial to them. They're my babies. Outside of that, we have 3 types of dragons that we're going to be releasing, and they're all very cool, and they're specific to Vathis. So I like them as well.
So, what is the difference between a drake and a dragon, or just a lizard?
Our drakes are more like mount type creatures. Dragons are intelligent. Drakes are more like beasts, at least in our setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was like, I believe in previous editions there was something called a Dragonelle that was kind of like similar to that.
Okay.
So and I think there's before you had some drakes in it too. I don't know. It may have. So is there an underlying theme with the monsters in Vathis? Like, do you do anything particular to make them feel like they're from this place?
We have some that are just sort of basic, but we have 4 types of monsters that are specific to Vathis. We have Living Eldria, which Eldria is our magic crystal that fuels everything. So it's a powerful magic crystal. So sometimes it just like changes things or creates things on its own. So we have some of those creatures. We have something called the Vathrin Kami or Kami. They're spirits that are thought to be linked to deities. They're specific to one nation, which is Washu. We have Vastborn, which are part of the evil that's left over from the Darkest War that we just had. So you'll find a lot of monsters that are like, we have on our cover, we have like a guy that's squiggly looking. So he's a Vastborn. And then we have like some scarier things that are Vastborn. And then we have the Forsaken, which are constructs that are basically held together by magic. And they are from something that happened in the past, and their origin is unknown.
So I know, looking at the Kickstarter page, you guys have tons of images, pictures of monsters up there, and the art looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Who do you have working on your art?
Our art, we had Crystal did a good chunk of our interior art, and then our cover art was done by Mo Ballinger, and he's also doing some of our interior art.
Nice. Do you know how many pieces of art are going into the finished product?
Every creature will have a piece of art. So right now we're looking, I think it's around like 120, maybe a little more.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of art. That's pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
Art's expensive.
Yeah, that's why we're doing a Kickstarter.
No, absolutely. So there's like 120 monsters then? 120 enemies?
It's going to be around that number.
Okay. That's a decent amount of beasts to add to a game.
Yeah, it is.
So do you primarily play, or do you flip to the other side of the DM screen at all?
Right now I'm a player, but we're getting ready to start a new game on Mondays that I'm actually going to DM. It's going to be 5th edition. So we'll see how that goes.
Do you know what you're going to do yet?
I have an idea. My players, they want to do more of like a quest-based game, so it's probably going to be like one person giving them like objectives and having them going all over the world. So we'll see how that goes.
So, what are you guys doing for the cast for the new game?
The new game right now is currently all female. So I'll have Rachel and Andrea, and then 2 of our community players.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, did you guys do like a session 0? Do you guys do session 0s?
We do session 0s. We haven't done one yet. They're creating their characters, and I'm trying to like lay out the basic plot and where they're going to start. But we'll probably do a session 0 in a couple of weeks.
So James Leslie says, "Trial by fire DM and cross your fingers, throw a monster at them, and hope at least 2 people live."
That's probably how it's going to start and maybe end.
monster grenades. How long do you guys usually run your sessions for?
Thursdays they play 7 to 10, so about 3 hours, and then on Saturdays we play about 6 hours.
Oh wow, you guys do a full on.
Yeah.
Do you guys for your Saturday or for the Saturday game?
Mm-hmm.
Is that an in-person game?
Yes.
Okay, that does it makes it a little bit easier, but that's a long stream.
It does. It normally goes by pretty fast. It's he's our DM for Saturdays, and he keeps it entertaining. He's a really good DM. So
I hope you guys take breaks.
We normally do. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll record our games, although they're all sitting on a lot of them are sitting on a hard drive right now waiting to be edited and uploaded. But it's just different. It's just a different experience when you're sitting in person playing, even if it's recorded, and then streaming. I feel like the streaming the games keeps everything kind of like on point and a little more streamlined.
It keeps us more on point. We still get a little off topic occasionally. We're trying to get better, but it happens.
Yeah. So are you guys in the chat while you're playing the game?
Yeah, we stay in Discord and we stay in like Twitch chat.
Nice.
So we interact.
So what level are you going to start them out at?
We're just gonna start at 1.
Yeah. And when you guys set up your the new streams, do you have a set amount of sessions you're going to do, like almost like seasons?
No, we just
go
jump in and go with it. Our Pathfinder game that just ended on Saturday a couple weeks ago, we actually streamed it from September 2016 until about 2 weeks ago. So
that was a lot of episodes. Do you know how many episodes it was?
No, we got editing to about 100, and then we're going to start uploading them because editing got super cumbersome. So we learned a lot from that process.
Yeah, I mean, when I say waiting to be edited, I use the word edited very loosely. It's mostly just like us. Yeah, it's just basically the video needs to be rendered and adding the end piece and the beginning piece. But other than that, I'm not really doing much with it. It's just
that's what we're moving to.
Yeah, it is too much to sit there and try and edit 4 or 5 hours of footage. You figure at the bare minimum it takes you at least as long as the video itself is, but in actuality it usually can take 2 to 3 times longer than that. So
yeah, and it was a lot.
That it becomes like one game is like a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a lot. So I know I did find from experience with the games that we've run that it does seem better if you start with having a defined endpoint. But you might want to look in that because you can always like not so much an endpoint though. Like what we do on our Saver Dice games is we break them into seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you want to still go and you just make it a new season, I believe like Maze Arcana, a lot of the other streamers do that as well.
Yeah, I'll probably pick like a milestone that I want them to reach, and then at that point we could break it up. We tried to do that in our As Far As You Can Tell game, but we got off track a lot.
Well, that happens as well.
Yeah. So it might not be time based, but it'll definitely be milestone based.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So, as your first time GM, do you have any milestones? Speaking of that, you want to hit? Is there any things you're interested in doing that you've learned from being a player?
I just really want the players to have a good experience. So whatever I can do to like tie in their stories and like do what I think they want to do, then I think that will probably work out best, and it'll make me happy in the end. Because while I may have stories I want to tell, like they're the major part of this, so we have to work together.
No, I agree. I also find too, if you get when you get a decent group going, as the GM, your job is so much easier. You have to do a lot less when you have players that are motivated to do things in the game, as opposed to players that are just constantly waiting for you to tell them the next thing.
No, I agree.
My Tuesday night game is kind of like that. Ellie from Beholder, her gaming is in that group, and with them, I prep like one encounter that I may or may not use, and just like throw stuff out there and see what they do. And a lot of times I don't even have to throw stuff out there. They're like, we want to do this, we want to do that. And I don't know. We might spend the whole session shopping or fighting bullets. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, as players, we tend to go down like every possible option, so we spend like way too much time on things. And As Far As You Could Tell, that actually got us in trouble because Brad had some time-based things, and we were spending stupid amounts of time on things that we shouldn't have been doing. And then like this big event happened, and we were not prepared. So
that is pretty typical for gamers. Sometimes that's the struggle, is getting that urgency across to the players.
Mm-hmm.
Nerdarchy Doug, will this be Ashley's first time DMing live or at all?
At all. So
that's a big yes.
Yes.
No pressure.
None at all.
You've played in a bunch of games that have been streamed.
Yeah.
And
So
I don't think the streaming matters that much. Are you handling the production side of things or just the game?
I'll probably be the person that is actually streaming it, but as for editing, Joe normally handles all that, so I'll just send them over to him when it's done.
Okay, yeah. Well, sometimes, I mean, depending on, how much production goes in during the stream, I don't know if you guys use music or soundboards or any of that stuff.
No,
we don't either. And when we actually had someone else that kind of came in and did that for us while we're doing it, because I don't even like the idea of using virtual tabletops that much. When I see a really good GM using a virtual tabletop, mm-hmm. and like Sirenscapes or one of the other sound software out there, to me it just reminds me of like a conductor with an orchestra. It just seems like way too much going on, where I'd rather just kind of like focus on the game.
Yeah, that would be a lot to do. I'll probably have issues just trying to keep up with chat while I'm doing it, but we'll see.
Then you have GMs from Encounter Roleplay, Will Jones, who is just not human, and he'll do all that stuff, run a fantastic game, and be having conversations in the chat with people all at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know how he does what he does.
It was the bizarrest thing, because we had him on. We had him on here, and I was talking with him, and he was speaking to me, and I looked at the chat. I glanced over at the chat, and I see him typing over there at the same time. I'm like, you are a freak. You have to be an android or something, because that's not human.
Maybe he is. No, that's impressive, and I definitely have respect for anyone who can do that. So,
if I even tried that, I would just be typing whatever I was saying.
Me too.
whether it was relevant to anything or not.
I do that now.
So, Beholder Gaming has a question for Ashley. What is the cute pink thing behind her? Is it a pink dragon? I can't tell on my phone.
It is a dragon. Yay.
Cool. So, what is some of your favorite or perhaps your favorite moment from gaming or favorite character?
Let me think. I really moments from gaming. Okay, I have a couple. We were playing a 5th edition game. Joe was DM. I was playing Halfling Druid. We were actually a acting company, a theater troupe, and we somehow got stuck in this like maze, and there was like this minotaur, and Joe just wrote this beautiful story, and it was just like we're actually turning it into an adventure that's going to be playable at like Gen Con and cons coming up. But it was just like so well written, and like just whenever you can play and like actually feel like what the person was trying to write, I think it's really impressive. And that was just like a big like, I guess, storytelling moment that just really stuck with me. And then just the ending of our as far as you can tell game was crazy, because we did everything we set out to do, and we like killed the bad guy, and it was just kind of epic. We ended at level 20, so that was a pretty big deal.
So, a whole acting troupe, huh?
Yeah, it was a good game.
It sounds like anytime you have something like that, it becomes fodder for the GM, and it also means it is going to be generally means it's going to be a very player driven game. Doug is currently running a game on our channel called Ingest Quest, and as they're making up the characters, it became apparent really quickly that it was going to be about food the whole game. So like I think like the premise is the crew of their spell jamming vessel has kind of been hired to help this one character that's the chef go out into the universe and write a cookbook.
That sounds like an amazing game. Like, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Flaming Boulet was one of the dishes that they made. So.
Okay. Sounds like a lot of fun. I actually want to do a Vathis cookbook at some point, and they think I'm joking, but I'm not.
Oh, that would be great. I think people would get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you have a strong community, that they're going to want things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam wants to know, how long will your live sessions last?
Like our stream games?
Yes.
The Monday one will probably be about 3 hours, because it'll be in the evening, and so we'll have 3 hours throughout the week, and then our Saturday games are longer.
Let's see. Truemate wants to know. First of all, Truemate says the art looks great. Are there any mount options in the book?
There are. We have drakes. There are 14 drakes. I think maybe 2 of them aren't mount options. And then we have other animals. We have an Eldricorn, which is an Eldria unicorn, basically. We have Pegasus, and then we have a couple others in there as well. So there will be several mount options.
So, when you guys were putting together this book, was there anything that didn't make it in that maybe you guys wanted it in, but size constraints?
Yeah. We have probably at least another 100 that didn't go in this book. So there are a lot. So we tried to separate it out. So this will be kingdom based. And then we have others that are outlying areas. And then we just have some that didn't make it. So we have a lot of others.
Apparently I got it wrong. It's Boulet Mignon.
Oh, okay.
These guys are nuts. So do you have a favorite monster that didn't make it in the book?
I don't know. I would have to look through the list, because there are so many. There are definitely more dragons that we would want to add, because dragons are always a favorite. But I think this book overall is pretty solid, so I can't be upset that something didn't make it in.
Would you say there's anything in particular that make the dragons of Vathis special to your world?
They're specific to the areas that they're from. So we have one that is like an icy dragon, and the area that it's from is like an icier area. One specifically, we have a Windsor Dragon, which is an area in the book, and we actually encountered one of these in our last campaign, and it was large and frightening, but it's kind of like an earth dragon. So they're just flavor based on the area that they're from.
So Tea Time with Toby wants to know, looking at the art on the Kickstarter, it's beautiful. Beautiful. What is the grape-looking thing drinking out of a wine bottle?
That's a wine sprite. It's based in the vineyards of Vinok, and we play tested some. Well, we play tested most of the monsters, but whenever we fought that one, it was really hard because he kept like punching us and making everyone drunk. So it's a lot of fun. But it's a wine sprite.
So does that mean, do you guys have rules for intoxication?
I don't know if we use the one specifically for Pathfinder and 5th edition. I'd have to look. Let me look.
Or the poison condition seems to work well for pretty much everything.
Looks like inebriate for Pathfinder and inebriating punch for 5th edition.
We had made something called a boozoos at some point. We made up inebriation rules based off of exhaustion.
Oh, okay.
It was a similar model, but it wasn't quite the same.
Okay, that would be fun.
Beholder Gaming wants to know, max backer level for the Kickstarter. Does those creatures also get put into this creature's book?
I think what we had determined is that it would go into like errata because we would have to get art and everything for it. But it would be in a future update. And then if we get to the printer version, it would be printed in the next book. But it would go into the digital book.
Okay. So TrueMate wants to know, how long was the bookmaking process from idea to Kickstarter?
Actually putting the book together, we started I want to say September. So September to January. So about 6 months.
It's not a bad turnaround. I mean, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of monsters.
We sectioned it out pretty well. Brad did all the Pathfinder rules, Joe did all the 5th edition rules, and then Brad, Joe, Rachel, and I all wrote like histories and backstories on it. So we split it up pretty well.
I mean, that's like 20 monsters a month, essentially. Not including the ones that did not make it into the final.
Right. All of those are named, but most of them don't have like their formal history written out yet.
So are there any particular monsters that you're excited to get to use in your first outing as the GM?
Oh, no. Maybe. We'll see. We have a lot of we have a couple cool oozes that I think are fun. It really depends where we end up in the world because we haven't like nailed that down yet, but we're definitely going to be using some of them.
So what kind of theme do you think you're going to go with for your game? You think it's going to be more serious, more lighthearted?
It'll probably be more lighthearted because one of the things that everyone kind of agreed on is we didn't want like a huge like political or like super serious background to it because we just got out of a long campaign that had that. So it'll probably be more lighthearted, maybe a little more. I kind of want it to be like fun. I don't know. My first adventure, I was thinking like had a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory feel, so we'll see how that goes.
Nice. I think people enjoy that. So you're going to use halflings or gnomes for Oompa Loompas?
Maybe a mix now.
Nice. Kobolds, clearly.
I love kobolds. We did a kobold adventure during our last time we kickstarted on Twitter. It was a lot of fun.
What kobold did you play?
Well, we just did the choose your own adventure on Twitter. So
okay.
I may have said Twitch. I meant Twitter. So we just polled people and they like picked the next thing that happened. It was fun.
You might have said Twitter and I might have heard Twitch. But so who ran the Twitter for that?
I did most of it, so that was.
What was the grand finale for the Cobalt adventure?
He ended up helping this family that they were like being framed, I think, and everyone was getting along at the end.
I call BS. They're kobolds. They're guilty of something.
Well, he was the there were two kobolds. Everybody else, I think, was human. There was a mix.
Yeah, they're guilty of being kobolds.
Oh, but they're cute.
It's not easy being a kobold. They are a fan favorite, I believe. Although I'm in the minority that actually misses the first edition, second edition kobolds, where they just look like dog, rat, lizard people.
Yeah, I think I like the newer like lizard look.
The draconic.
Yeah, draconic ones. Yeah.
Yeah. In my current game, the other players, the goblins, were using the kobolds to make fun of our dragonborn by insinuating that the dragonborn, were distant relatives or cousins to the kobolds, but possibly inferior because they lost their tails.
Oh, I'm sure that ended well.
Well, in that campaign, my players that are the goblins, they're actually playing goblin clowns.
That's kind of creepy.
It is kind of creepy, and they're also based off of juggalos.
Oh.
And I didn't know what a juggalo was until they wanted to play goblin juggalos. They call them gobelos, and then I fell down this like deep dark hole of research into juggalo culture.
Your life is much more enriched now.
I would use words. I don't know if those are the words I would use, but I would definitely use words. I didn't know you could get a contact high from doing research. That's all I'm saying. Through the interwebs.
Today I learned.
Yeah. If you truly want to see something you'll never be able to unsee, check out the Miss Juggalo competition.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna research as soon as this is over. I'm going there.
Yeah. But yeah, so those particular players are playing those goblins in my game, and they're usually doing stuff that's ridiculous all the time, and it usually involves drugs. Actually, it seems to be an overarching theme in a lot of my games for some reason. But my players wanting to get high.
As long as it's their characters.
So far, it has been the characters. Although the one game is online, so I don't really know what they're doing. Over on other parts of the interwebs. So, but yeah, it keeps things interesting. That's for sure.
I'm sure. Oh my gosh.
So complacent badger, our intern, Fago downs potion, and that was one of their early quests, was to find the Fago.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you incorporated that.
I did, and I gave it to them, but I didn't actually give it to them in a quest per se. There was a previous adventure where one of my players didn't show up, and what I generally do if you don't show up for the game and I need an excuse why you're not there is I have you get kidnapped. And so Ted's character got kidnapped by the Goblin King, and was if they didn't get him back by a certain time, he was going to be changed into a goblin. So his character actually ended up getting partially changed into a goblin. But when it came to the final confrontation, when they were supposed to fight the Goblin King and rescue Ted's character, my goblins refused to fight the Goblin King. They wouldn't help him, but they wouldn't fight him either. So
that sounds like a lot of fun.
It was. So I ended up reskinning a chain devil to the Goblin King. So instead of attacking with chains, it would attack with silks that were all around the room. And then so like several sessions later, the Goblin King appears and gives them a magic goblet that once a day will refill with the Fago for them.
That is wonderful. Well done. So
you guys, this will be the third stream game you guys have going on at a time, so that's a lot of gaming. And you said you got 3 different casts for each game essentially.
There's some overlap, but it's not all of us playing in all of them.
And so, do you guys plan on adding more stream games, or is that capacity?
I think we are looking. We want to keep consistently 3 or 4. The fourth one we talked about whenever Pathfinder 2 comes out, moving that to Saturdays, and then if we're still in our 4th edition game, moving it during the week. So that would definitely be an overlapping cast, but that would be 4 a week.
Now, so I know one of your games is with the community.
Mm-hmm.
If you add another game, are you going to do more of a curated cast, or go to the community, or a mix of the players you have now?
Pathfinder would probably be us, because we would do it in person. But all the other games that we've been picking up, we've definitely been reaching out to our community, and we're like, does anyone want to play? Because not only does it make it a little bit easier on us, we really like to involve them, because our community is great, and they have some amazing ideas, and just like watching them play is amazing. We did a lot of monster playtesting with them, and we streamed it, and just like some of their ideas they're insane. So it's great. I think it's also good to like break up your group and get like other people's ideas and viewpoints in there, because you don't want to get some groupthink going on. So it's good to go.
Red Jackal has a question for me. Can I steal the Goblin King and Goblins for a campaign I'm running, or the Goblos? Well, I didn't invent the Goblos, so absolutely you can steal them if you want. And the Goblin King I stole, so feel free to re-steal it. You know, it was just after David Bowie had passed away, so I wanted to do like my version of, I guess, a tribute to David Bowie.
That's good.
Yeah. So what is your favorite types of characters to play? Do you have a favorite type?
I actually really try to like break it up every time like I make a new character, because I don't want to like repeat what I just did. So I have a little bit of a different feel. So I went from playing a really sassy halfling druid to playing a super smart lawful good. She was like lawful neutral, or no, she was good neutral by the end of it, but wizard. And then right now I'm playing just like a crazy chaotic hunter that doesn't really care what happens as long as she's okay.
So, how did the concept for the evil party, the evil game, come out? Usually, they don't go very well.
We do definitely have some rules. Like we have to work together, not like backstab each other. We just played a really good campaign. Like overall, Rachel's character was evil, but she turned good toward the end. I would say she was more good than evil, but it was just like a really good campaign, and we were always trying to follow the rules, and now we're just like, we don't want to do that anymore. We need a break from that.
When you guys, I guess, session 0, what did you come up with for the rules as far as what's going to make this work as an evil campaign?
We all had sort of character ideas. We streamed it, so it's probably still up on Twitch. We had character ideas, and we had to like bring them together in a way where we would be tied to each other, and we maybe not necessarily like each other, but we have some sort of common goal so that we would have to work together. And we kind of just got ourselves in this situation, which is how the campaign started, where basically everyone else has turned on us, so we only have each other. So we kind of have to like work together. So self-preservation.
Yeah, I find the biggest problem with evil campaigns is people don't actually. It's not so much that they play evil characters; they play characters of evil characters. So, like, it doesn't work. Like, so I might have a little bit in real life CD background, and so I know a lot of different people. But even the scummiest people still, to a certain extent, interact with other people, and generally don't go out of their way to screw other people over. You know, there has to be like a distinct benefit to them, or something they're trying to get out of in order for that to happen.
Right.
But when you get into a D&D game, people don't play that way, and that's where the biggest problem is. It's not even a lack of loyalty to each other. It's just, you know, for lack of a better word, it just becomes chuckle fuckery, and you know, the games tend to disintegrate. or
Right.
like you feel like someone's trying to live out this really dark, crazy fantasy that would not be a good group dynamic. Like you can't play like 5 or 6 Jokers in the same group. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, it won't work. And Justin mentioned, Brad basically said we're not allowed to be murder hobos, and if we are, then we're not going to play the game.
You will be booted.
Hmm.
What are the other characters in the evil game?
Justin is playing an assassin. Andrea is playing a rogue. Um, Rachel is Joe's a battle mind, and then Rachel's an ardent. So it's an interesting group.
Nice. So ardent. So there's some psionics.
Yeah, and battle mind too. So
Yeah.
we have a little bit. They're both Amorai, which is a race that is specific to Vathis that are Psionic Races. So.
Okay. So how many psionic races do you guys have? You're speaking Nate the Nerdarchy's language now.
We just have the one race, which is Amorai.
Oh, and what is it about the Amorai that makes them psionic?
Their racial features are Rachel created them. So they have telepathy, and they have like a caching. They can cache things in like a psionic thing that goes around their head.
Is
and
it
just like
a physical thing that goes around their head?
No, they don't have to show it. It's just a cache. And then also like their racial history, they bond with Larish trees, which is a tree that's specific to the nation that they're from. It's like a psionic link. So everything they do is like very much like ingrained with like nature, and they have a really good, they're kind of like off by themselves on the map. So they have like a different, I guess, take on the world, and they're just a little bit different.
I often feel that way about scions and psychics. They're just a little bit different.
Just a little bit.
That is one of the things we're still waiting for in 5e. I know I've seen quite a bit of angst when Tome of Foes came out on the internet that there was no mystic in there, which we knew. I think most of us knew it wasn't going to be in there. I mean, we're just finally getting some races that are kind of psionic, but without like real psionics of 5e. It makes it really hard. You know, the designers just haven't come up with a solution that they like yet. So, which obviously, I guess if you have psionics in your world, that becomes an issue for you guys, for Vathis. Are you guys kind of waiting for Watts to come up with something, or have you guys started implementing your own psionics for 5e, or are you kind of ignoring it for now?
Right now, we just have the racial features. We haven't really gone beyond that very much for 5th edition.
Yeah. So so now if you play 5e, you want one of those, no psionics for you. Although we on the website, Nate had did a pretty extensive series where he converted a lot of the existing classes and kind of turned them into psionics, and yeah, I think he used Sorcerer for kind of a template to make different psionic builds.
That makes sense. I can see where that would work.
Yeah, well, he spent a lot of time, and there's a huge word count on the website somewhere, and that's good. I think he did that a couple years ago, back in the early days. So, where do you guys see Vathis going in the future? You said you're working on things. Is there anything that you want to talk about, or you can talk about?
A lot of the things that right now this was a bigger project, and of course, like our initial projects were kind of big. I think we're going to start focusing on like smaller things. Like we have a bunch of adventures in queue that they're almost finished. We just need to like push them to the finish line. And I know Brad's working on a couple things. We definitely want to get a timeline out, especially for the most recent. We have a timeline in our book, but we want to get like a very specific timeline out, and then kind of base some of our future projects off of that. Maybe in the near future, we might expand the world a little bit because there's a lot to it that's not currently published. So we're just really going to focus on some smaller projects and pushing out more content.
And where would you guys be putting that content?
What we're currently talking about, it'll most likely just be digital. So it'll go drive-through, and then our website.
Excellent. Which, folks, you can find a link into the description for the website as always. So, how you mentioned other people, and when we were in Ohio, we had met the three of you,
Mm-hmm.
but allegedly there's more. So how big is the team?
Right now there are 6 of us. It's Brad, Rachel, Joe, Andrea, JP, and myself. We do everything. Like we all basically just jump in and help each other where we need to.
Do you guys have like set jobs when you're? Yeah, I know. Like obviously, when in a small company, everyone kind of has to do everything. But does people have their own purviews?
I think probably the biggest things that stand out. Brad does a lot of like the heavy history writing, and a lot of the world lives in his head still. So he has all of that insight that the rest of us don't. Joe is really good with like 5th edition rules. Brad's really good with Pathfinder rules. Rachel does she does our primary editing, and she does like the layout of all of our publications. I edit and do social media and handle like accounting and handle contracts and stuff like that. JP does IT. Uh, he's very much needed because we need that IT. And Andrea, she does a lot of community stuff. She talks to people on Discord. She also helps edit things, and she streams with us. Yes,
Nice.
you are the nerd.
No, those jobs are all very necessary. When with anything that we do, it's like everyone like you said does a little bit of everything, and so,
Mm-hmm.
but when you break it down, like any one job is enough work for one person. You end up doing like 5 or 6 of those at a time.
Yeah.
So I can sympathize for sure. When we went out to LA and we got to kind of see the bullpen for Geek and Sundry and Nerdist, and I looked around like, wow, you guys like 6 to 8 people in this room. I have to do all these jobs myself.
Right.
Yeah, so now it is getting a little easier. We have gotten a little help with it we got the intern for the next 6 months or so. So that's actually super helpful.
We might need to talk to you about how we would find one of these interns.
Well, Ted would tell you it was a huge pain in the ass, but it's going to be worth it. Both Ted and Jake, the intern, put in a ton of work. He had reached out to us, and he's finishing up his military service.
Oh, nice.
And so there was a couple of different programs through the military that he was looking at, and many of which we got shot down on. So there was a lot of phone calls, a lot of conferences, a lot of meetings. And we finally had a last ditch meeting, and we thought that was it. It was done. We were not getting an intern, and then I don't know, through sheer force of will and determination, Jake found another way. So woohoo, we have an intern.
That's exciting. I'm happy for you guys. That'll be helpful.
Also known as the highest paid member of Nerdarchy, probably.
Understandable.
Yeah, so sad. Tears. What are you gonna do? But no, it's great because he's been helping out with some different things on the website and managing the Twitter.
Oh, that's good.
Which, because up to this point, a lot of our Twitter has been all right. So I would jump on and do some stuff, and Doug would do some stuff, but mostly it was just broadcasting like the different things that we were doing. And now he's actually able to go on there and actually engage people and put really engaging things on Twitter compared to what we were doing before. So
I actually noticed the uptick in your Twitter traffic, like things happening on your Twitter.
The hard part for me is I'll get the notifications, and either Doug will do something or Jake will do something, and I'll go to like it, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's us. That would be me liking something I did, but it wasn't me, it was them. So I was like...
Yeah, I manage our Twitter, and then I have my Twitter, so like sometimes I'm like liking things as the wrong people, but it's okay. It's all the same.
Nerdpopulis question: what's the best way to get in touch with Nerdarchy? If you have some in-depth questions, you can email us at the Nerdarchy Gmail. Is a good place to go for sure. Yeah. So, and we also recently just got another email for another intern through I think they said they're in high school, so I have to look into it. Well, so here's one of the things that we actually learned previously from having people help us and calling them interns. We received legal counsel that we should not call them interns. They are unpaid volunteers, which is completely different.
Okay.
Because interns must be compensated in some way, apparently, which is weird because it just like further illustrates the scam that schools are running, because it somehow gets different if you pay them to go work for someone else for free. So
that's good to know.
Definitely. Yeah. So, but we did learn something from one now starting to work with Jake, and from talking to other people. So I knew to ask, well, you want to do an internship, but what program are you trying to use? And that's kind of like the key. There's got to be like an established program that they're trying to use. Otherwise, they're just volunteers.
Okay.
Which is fine. I mean, Encounter Roleplay, they're amazing with volunteers. They've got like 50 of them or something. I don't know how they manage that.
That actually makes me feel a lot better about the amount of stuff that they're doing, and I feel a lot less bad about myself now.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Me and Doug are always talking. It just seems like everyone else is getting so much done. Why can't we get more done?
Right. Okay.
And then you feel useless. But then, if you dig a little deeper, generally you will find out that, there's more going on. People are getting help. And which, it kind of speaks to the community, though. I mean, we're really lucky. This is a great community where people are willing to pitch in and help, help us do what we do.
Sure. Yeah.
So do you guys plan on going in any other different directions? I mean, obviously you came at it and started from producing products, and now you guys have been streaming for over a year now. You guys have a website. I haven't really poked around there. Is the website just a store, or do you guys put up content there as well?
We were putting up a lot of content. We call them spotlights. So just basically like little glimpses into the world where we may not have it in the book or anywhere else. We were doing really good about posting weekly, and then we pre-posted a bunch of stuff, and then we ran out. But that's something we want to start doing again. We've looked at possibly going the Patreon route and adding them there and then adding them to the website. So we do have a lot of things in discussion right now about how we can move forward with that, with the website. And we had someone writing blogs for a little while, but then he took a step back and actually just published a book, which is great for him. So we may look down the blog route again as well.
I mean, it's a great way to get other content out there, and it's also a good way to drive traffic to your website. Mm. So you get a lot more organic, and they're like, hey, and sometimes they even discover that you sell things as well. So,
right.
I mean, because we kind of took the opposite approach. We kind of went from, being content creators, both on YouTube and the website, and then started moving into, let's make stuff and put stuff out there for the world as well. Plus, right. Also we find too is just by doing what we do so much, people have asked for it a lot. So, are you? They always ask if we're ever going to publish our campaign setting, and we would love to. The only problem is we don't really take notes and write things down. So we have more stuff from our games or from videos we've been done being used in other people's games than in our own. I mean,
writing stuff down is very time consuming, so it's hard to do.
I generally, as I GM, I take notes as I GM. So now it just looks like some mad person has scrawled all over the place. For the game that I've been running, right? This is 50 some episodes worth of the game where I just write things down and then I put them in boxes to separate things, and I'm like, I know I boxed this off so it seemed organized, but I have no idea what this is now.
Yeah, I'm our note taker for our game, so I try to keep it organized and try to make NPC charts and location charts, but then I get way behind and it's a mess.
I keep threatening to organize my notes. It just hasn't happened yet.
You need another intern.
Yeah, maybe. Be like, hey, why don't you just go watch these 50 episodes and tell me what happened?
Take some notes.
Yeah. Cody Sams wants to know, do you feel that camera being on you makes you interact differently with players than you would otherwise?
Yes. definitely. I think that we definitely try to keep things a little on the lighter side. I've seen some things get pretty crazy, like people get extremely, I don't know, some people just don't play well with others. So I think having the camera on makes that easier, but it also helps that we have a really good group of people. So it's not as bad as it could be. But in games I've played before off camera, like you definitely handle people differently sometimes.
Well, I think there's also an aspect of if you're streaming a game, you're also trying to be entertaining, and
That too.
it becomes entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
and that is kind of like the thing. And also, you don't want to have dead air and kind of be meandering. You want things to kind of keep moving. I know for me, I'm always very conscious and very aware when there's nothing, when there's literally nothing going on in the game. Like, we recently had a session that Ted ran, and it was fun to play because it was us kind of like shopping, but I'm not so sure it'd be fun to watch. It's like a lot of Critical Role episodes are like that too, except for the difference is like they're really entertaining voice actors. So when they do mundane stuff in their games, it tends to be a lot more interesting than
Right.
when I do them in my game.
Uh,
So
yeah, we try to cut some of that out sometimes. Like Brad will just be like, we'll discuss it after the game, what you did with things. And then we started like, instead of like selling stuff, he's like, you just get this amount of gold because it ties up some time whenever you're streaming and you have to fill that air.
yeah, I mean, unless you're like Matt Mercer and you're doing Pumon's Soul, that the players always want to go back to, and you're doing voices for that NPC every time, and he's really interesting and fascinating. It just becomes like background stuff. I like to kind of try and like maybe work in those NPCs like the first time they go to see them, but after that we kind of like fast track through a lot of it.
Right. That's what we do as well.
Cody Sams, Dave trying to be entertaining and prevent dead air. Silence, Dave. Surprise Tarrasque encounter. Sometimes that's what you do. See, that's why I say like generally I don't prepare a lot of stuff, but I have like one idea for an encounter. There's nothing going on. That's it. Drop a dragon.
I mean, that's great advice to me. So thank you. Keep a dragon in my pocket. Got it.
Dragon, explosion, just any kind of action to kind of that gets things moving in a different direction.
Okay.
And also too, like sometimes it's not like just by making something happen. It's about it. It's not about the thing that you just made happen, right? It's about how your players react to it, and that will kind of like create the seeds for the next adventure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Is like we had our last session of the Scarlet Sisterhood where there wasn't really a plan per se as to what was going to happen, but the session before that we literally had a player drop out right in the middle of the game, and they did it at the best time. They did it when one of the players had just cast teleport on all of them, and now the players just assumed, well, the player's not here, so that's why the character's not here. But like when we finally like resolved what was going on and they had a second to breathe, I was like, you're still missing one of your companions. They're not there. And they're like, oh, well, she just must be still in town. And then when they went to town and they encountered the people that were there when they teleported out, they're like, no, she left. She was with you guys. She disappeared. We thought she was with you. And then they're like, oh, crud, we're missing a person. So that session became them kind of like looking for that person.
No, that definitely worked out for you, so that's good.
And that session ended with them scrying and finding someone to scry and find the person. They did, and she was like in the middle of this huge combat, and one of the players as well and it wasn't on this plane, it was somewhere else. One of the players is like, well, I have plane shift, but they only have this spell once, and they can only cast it once. So they plane shifted them to where that player was, and that's where we ended the session. And it was at that point that the player was like, I can only do that once. So wherever we are stuck here for a day.
That's great. I love scrying. That's like so much fun. That's probably my favorite spell.
So for me personally, a lot of the stuff that I end up doing in that particular game is is driven by what the players do. And you know, like that particular group just makes it really easy because they always have things that they're trying to do or they want to do. Their big thing in game for the longest time was, in addition to all the other quests that were going on and plot threads that were going on, was they just wanted to build a bathhouse in the town.
Okay.
Because every time they would get done an adventure or doing something, they would go back to a tavern and want to get a bath. And they're like, this place just needs a place where we can go and get a bath. and I think it kind of originated from our barbarian character after her battle. She was just like, I'm just so full of rage, I need a bath. And everyone just kind of looked at her and they're like, okay. Let's find Agnetha a bath. But so now they also have this business venture where, you know, they built a bathhouse. And if you have a bathhouse, you need to heat the water. So they hired a gnome that was a little too inventive to figure out the heating system for the bathhouse and the water. And he may or may not have tapped into the elemental plane of fire, which led to another adventure. So
that sounds like a really great campaign. It's definitely interesting.
It is a lot of fun. I feel like they don't even really need me. They just need a sim to drop monsters on them every once in a while, and they could just do their own thing. It would still be a great game.
That's good though. Less work for you. You can do something that you would otherwise have an intern do.
Yeah, there you go. So we are coming up on the hour mark. What do you want to leave people with?
Just if you haven't already, check out our website, check out our Kickstarter, join our Discord. We're definitely interactive. We love people in our community. We'll talk to you about whatever, whether it's tabletop, video games, tech, animals, whatever. We'll talk to you. And just thanks for hanging out with us. It's been fun.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on with me today, and thank everyone who's been hanging out in the chat with us today. Greatly appreciate it. It was awesome when we went out to Cleveland Concoction to meet you and the other ladies. Hopefully we'll get to meet the fellows at some point. No, they don't really exist. It's an illusion. But yeah, like I said, thanks for coming on, and thanks everyone. And until next time, stay nerdy.
Bye.